Hi there, welcome back to Get Fit for a Purpose. I'm Jo, a personal trainer, online coach, and your host for today's episode. Today, I want to talk about hitting a weight loss plateau. You know the drill. You're eating right, working out, but that scale just won't budge. So, we're going to take a look at why this happens and what we can do about it. But before we start, I want to be clear that a plateau isn't just a couple of days where the scale doesn't budge. That stickiness of the scale over a few days is entirely normal. And seeing the scales actually fluctuate day to day, up and down, again, is entirely normal. So we're always looking for a trend in weight change over time, over weeks. A plateau is something that's more like 2 or 3 weeks without any movement in the right direction. So if you're seeing no change after a couple of days, don't panic. That's normal. But if you've had about 3 weeks when the scales have been stuck or going the wrong way, we need to go back to basics. At its core, weight loss is no more complicated than burning more calories than you consume. So if the scale isn't moving, it's a very clear sign of one thing and one thing only. And that is that one way or another, you are not in a calorie deficit. So what does this mean for us? Well, it's time to do a little bit of detective work to find out what's going wrong. So we have to consider how many calories you're really eating. It's easy over time to get a little bit lax with our tracking of our food. Those sneaky little extra mouthfuls, that little bit of extra oil, it actually all counts. And they really can quickly add up, wiping out your deficit. And if you suspect this might be happening, I'd suggest doubling down on your food tracking just for a few weeks. Be honest with yourself about everything you consume. You have a bite of your partner's pizza, a taste of cake at work, and before you know it, you've unknowingly added a few hundred calories to your day. It's not about judgment here. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be aware and be honest with yourself so that you can make some decisions and choices that will get you to your goal. And here's something that might surprise you. Even if you are tracking 100% everything that you're eating, did you know that food labels in the United Kingdom and in the EU don't have to be 100% accurate? In fact, it's totally legal for them to be out by up to 20%. That's right, 20%. And that means that that snack bar you're eating, because it's only 200 calories, could actually be 240 calories. And if you have lots of other processed foods in your diet over a week, those calorie inaccuracies from the labels could be throwing out your whole day's count. Well, the solution is really to try and do what you can to look for opportunities to reduce those processed, prepackaged foods. If you opt for whole, unprocessed foods, you will avoid the calorie counting pitfalls that's inherent with the labels on processed foods. So I'm not saying never eat them. I'm just saying look at what you're eating, how much processed food is in there, and those labels are not necessarily keeping you on track. They could be accurate. You might be having no problems at all. But if they're not, if you're not losing weight, it could be something to consider. The other thing to look at is portion sizes. They are so easy to get wrong. Have you ever bought a small pizza that you think is one portion from the supermarket and eaten it and then afterwards realised that the portion size was actually only half of that pizza? Wouldn't have been enough for a meal effectively. And breakfast cereals, seriously, if you do weigh those out into a portion size, you'll know they are tiny. And it's so easy in the morning just to free pour those cereals. And if you do that, you could be adding in enough extra calories over the week to seriously have an impact on any deficit that you were aiming for. So my advice would be get familiar with measuring tools, with measuring your food. So whether it's kitchen scales, measuring cups, even just spoonfuls. That's what I do with granola. I have 3 heaped spoonfuls. It might seem tedious at first. Well, quite frankly, because it is tedious, but trust me, those measuring tools are your best friends in understanding how much you're actually eating. And over time, over a week or 2 weeks, if you consistently measure, you will begin to get your eye in. You will be able to learn what a portion size looks like. So over time, you don't have to do it forever. But it is absolutely worth doubling down for a few days or weeks. Next, think about your activity levels. Have they changed? Remember, the calories you burn daily aren't just about your gym sessions or your workout classes. They're also about your overall movement throughout the day. So your steps, the chores that you're doing, even fidgeting counts. If you've become more sedentary or your workouts have decreased in intensity over the last few weeks, your calorie needs will have dropped. So if you've been really busy at work and you've been sat at your desk for an extra half an hour a day, if you've been ill and putting your feet up, this means that what used to be a deficit might now just be a maintenance set of calories for you, or they may even be a surplus, so you're putting a little bit of weight on. So if you've had a few changes in your life in the last few weeks, things have been a bit different, be aware of them and see how you can change things moving forward. Don't panic. Just be aware of it and see perhaps how you can tweak things. So this is where regular check-ins with yourself become really invaluable. So if you have noticed a decrease in movement, perhaps because you've been ill, in which case you'll just be getting back to normal. But if you've been busy at work and you can see that's going to be the same moving forward, you can look for ways to add more activity into your day. And it doesn't have to be another workout. It could be as simple as taking a short walk during your lunch break, using the stairs instead of the lift in the office, using the upstairs bathroom rather than the downstairs loo, or even standing more if you have a desk job. All of these little things add up and help to increase your calorie burn. Moving on to a couple of often overlooked aspects of weight loss. By this I mean sleep and stress. So these are like two silent disruptors to our weight loss efforts, because not getting enough sleep or being stressed over a period of time can contribute to you gaining weight, or at the very least prevent you from losing it. And that's because, like many menopausal symptoms, these things affect your hormones and that impacts your hunger and energy levels. So poor sleep and extra stress could be having an impact on the choices, the food choices you're making, and the decisions around food and exercise. So aim for those golden 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night and see if you can find some stress relief techniques that work for you. It's not just about the body, but it's about making sure your mind's calmer too. So to sum up, if you're not losing weight, it's absolutely time to revisit your calorie intake and expenditure. Ensure you are in a genuine calorie deficit by tracking your food accurately and maintaining or even increasing your activity levels. It's a delicate balance, but with a bit of fine tuning, you can really get yourself back on track. And finally, patience and consistency. I know, it's not what you want to hear when you're feeling stuck, but trust me, your body is listening to all the good things you're doing. It might just need a bit more time to show you the results. So what's the takeaway from the chat today? It's that hitting a plateau for a few weeks is a sign. It's a sign just to reassess, to tweak, and to be honest with ourselves about our habits. It's not the end of the road. It's certainly not a reason to give up or get overly frustrated. You just need a bit of patience, a bit of persistence, and maybe a few adjustments to get round it. So that's all for today's episode. If you found this discussion helpful or have any suggestions for future episodes, I'd really love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. Bye.